Have you ever found yourself saying, I can't do that, or that's just not me? Maybe you've been told by someone else that you can't achieve your dreams. These thoughts are what we call self-limiting beliefs. They are the invisible barriers holding you back from reaching your true potential. Welcome back to Empowerment Junction podcast. My name is Olivia Bassi, and today we are tackling a topic that holds many of us back: self-limiting beliefs. If you're new here, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for those who've liked. Thank you for those who've subscribed. Thank you for those who've been giving me feedback and sharing some valuable insight into what's going on in their lives. I hope you're enjoying the July sunshine. It's a very sunny day in Manchester, and I'm truly grateful and I'm feeling very blessed to be here with you. So, today we're tackling a topic on self-limiting beliefs. Following my last episode where I discussed how to embrace failure, I've had a question that has been presented to me by one listener. So I thought it's best for me to do this quick topic on self-beliefs or limiting self-beliefs, because believe you me, what if I told you you can tear down these walls, that you, yes you have the power to redefine who you are and what you can achieve. And this is so true in many levels. So if this is you, stay tuned for this episode, because we are going to explore exactly how you can do that. So go grab your drink or grab your notepad and let's get started. So first and foremost, we must understand what these self-limiting beliefs are. How can you fight an enemy you can't even see? It's essential to recognize what's holding you back and tackle it head on. So I want to picture this. Think about a goal you want to achieve, something you've always wanted to do but have never managed to accomplish. Now, ask yourself, why haven't you reached it yet? Even better, for those who tuned into my episode where I talked about habits for 2024 and how to reach your goals in this year, this is the time to revisit your goals. Go into your journal and think about the goals that you haven't managed to accomplish. If you'd set a target date or an action plan to try and help you achieve these goals, and we're now in July and you haven't started it, this is the time for you to revisit this. So let's now go to the thoughts and fears that are lurking in the shadows of your mind. What are the fears that are lurking in the shadows of your mind? Now, identifying these beliefs is the first step to really overcoming them. Now, I'll tell you how. I'll start by encouraging you to listen to some of the motivational thoughts and speeches I'm going to attach from the many listeners who already know one of my favorite motivational speakers, Les Brown, who said, "Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, it will land among you. Will land among the stars." Now, this quote reminds us that even if we fall short of our goals, the pursuit itself can lead us to places we never imagined. So in my last episode, I discussed about embracing fear and using that fear to power you on. And I gave you some mantras to use it. Now, before I go into really looking at what's stopping you achieving your goals, I want to use another quote that I really like, that I think resonates with where we are today, or this is you. Tony Robbins reminds us that the only limit to your impact is your imagination and commitment. This for me is a powerful reminder that our potential is only constrained by our own creativity and dedication. And of course, for the believers, one of my favorite verses, and this was my mantra for many years, and it still is: When I know somebody tells me I can't do anything, or when I've got this fear that tells me I can't do anything, there is a Bible verse in Philippians 4:13 that states, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I love this verse because it emphasizes that with divine support, we as believers can overcome any self-imposed limitations. So, when you think of self-limiting beliefs as being trapped in a barrel, much like crabs in a barrel, think about this. When you put crabs in a barrel, they all try to escape. However, as soon as one crab gets close to the top, the others pull it back down. Now, this is akin to how self-limiting beliefs and negative influences can hold us back from reaching our full potential. Instead of lifting each other up, they drag us down. This could be an example if you're around a group of people and you want to achieve your goals, and when you discuss it with this group of people, they try and pull you back down. They remind you that you're not able to achieve that goal. So think of this as like the example, the analogy of crabs in a barrel. When you try to escape, when the crab tries to escape, as soon as one gets close to the top, the others pull it back down. Could this be your scenario? Could it be that it's your circle that's stopping you from achieving those goals? Now, the next bit is about challenging these self-limiting beliefs. How do you challenge this? Now, once you've identified your self-limiting beliefs, it's time to challenge them. Why should these thoughts define who you are and what you can achieve? And this is a defining moment. This is the time where you really need to start asking yourself tough questions. And I'll say, in order to ask yourself these tough questions, I've had to go and really look at the 10 most common examples of the tough questions that are linked to limiting beliefs. And I'm sure many of my listeners will relate and this will resonate with them. The first one, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to manage this project. I'm not good enough to start this project, or I'm not good enough to develop something by myself. The second one, I'm too old or too young to go for this career or to be a manager or to ask for this promotion. The most common one of the most common, I don't have enough time to invest in myself. The next one, I'm not smart enough. I'm not smart enough to lead this meeting. I'm not smart enough to speak in front of these people. I'm not smart enough to sit in this board. The fifth one, I don't have enough experience for this career move, or I don't have enough experience to apply for this role, or I don't have enough experience to ask for this promotion. And another one of my favorite, I'll never be successful in this industry, or I'll never be successful if I launch this project. Number 6, I don't have enough money to enjoy my life, or I don't think I'm making enough money to take a leap and do something on my own. And number 7, I'll never be one of the best on this team. Number 8, I'm not talented enough to get a promotion, or I'm not talented enough to try out this skill. And last but not least, I'll never be a great leader with my lack of confidence, or I don't have the confidence to be a great leader. So, those are some of the tough questions that perhaps, and some of the top most common self-limiting beliefs. So when it comes to asking yourself these tough questions, so if you've got a pen and a paper, this is the time to start writing it down. Number 1, on those tough questions or on those self-limiting beliefs, the first place to look at is this belief based on facts or feeling. Is it factual, for example, that you'll never get a promotion? The next question, what evidence do I have to support this belief? So I've decided to not go for that job. What evidence do you have? And the next tough question, what would happen if I applied and they said no? So let's look at this and how these questions can be applied in real life case studies. So my first case study is I'm working with Sarah, a mid-level manager who's in her 30s, who's always dreamed of setting up her own sole trader, but had never pursued it. She has a stable job and was very comfortable, but she's always felt unfulfilled and constrained by her current role. Her self-limiting beliefs included thoughts like, number one, I don't have the necessary skills, and number two, it's too late for me to start something new. Remember, Sarah is in her 30s. So, working with Sarah, these are the actions I had to draft or work with Sarah. So I asked Sarah to begin asking a self-talk question. Are these beliefs based on facts or feeling? Now, Sarah realized that her belief is not having the necessary skills was based on feelings of insecurity rather than concrete evidence. I looked at the skills that she had on the table, and they were vast, they were immense. She had acquired many transferable skills in her current job, unbeknownst to Sarah, and I had to sit down and look at her skill set and find out how many transferable skills that she was not aware of. Now, the next one, I asked Sarah, what evidence did she have to support this belief? Now, Sarah couldn't find substantial evidence that she lacked the skills she required to set up on her own as a sole trader. She had successfully, number one, managed products, led teams, and solved problems, all of which were relevant to running a business. She had also, on top of that, successfully managed her own finances. And these were immense transferable skills. So, my next tough question for Sarah was, what would happen if she tried and failed? Remember, if you're in this position, go back to my previous episode where I talked about how to embrace failure. Now, for Sarah, I asked her to consider the worst case scenario, and I asked her to draft how this worst case scenario of trying and failing would look like. And you know what? She came back and said she concluded herself that even if she failed, she would gain valuable experience and could apply her learnings to future endeavors. So if you find yourself having a similar case like Sarah, then you know what you need to do. Now, the outcome, because it's quite important for me to present the outcome. So Sarah has taken small, manageable steps towards setting up her own sole trader. And eventually she's cut down her hours, so she's working on a part-time basis, and she's launched her small online business, which, the last time I checked with her, has led to personal fulfillment and many, many areas of success. So, I would encourage you to start self-critiquing yourself. This is very, very important. I've already given you some tips on how to self-critique yourself. Number one, some of the tips you can use now is look at your strength. So, for example, Sarah's approach was a systematic and reflective, allowing her to separate feelings from facts and reducing the power of her self-limiting beliefs. Working with her and drafting methodical questioning helped her build confidence and take actionable steps. If this is you, this is how you can do this. You need to self-critique. You need to look at your strengths. And then, after you looked at your strength, look at the areas for improvement. Do your own SWOT analysis, your strength, weaknesses, and where the opportunities or maybe threats are. But for the purpose of this episode, I would say, look at your areas of improvement. Now, Sarah has benefited from seeking feedback from her manager, her mentors, or work colleagues, and as well from me as a coach to gain a different perspective. Additionally, I help her set clear, incremental goals that have provided her with more structure and support during her transition. And I'm constantly checking in with her. So she's used me as somebody to hold her accountable. Now, if you feel you can do this by yourself, by all means, I would make sure that you have somebody who's going to hold you accountable, to check in with you, whether it's every 3 months or every 6 months, depending. Everybody's situation is different. Now, I'm coming to my next client, who is, I'm going to call John. So John wanted to pursue going to higher education. Now, John is a 45-year-old professional who wanted to pursue a master's degree to advance his career. However, he believed that he was too old to go back to school and that it would be challenging or too challenging to balance his job with family responsibilities. There's many people in this situation. Now, John began to challenge his self-limiting beliefs by asking tough questions. So this is the action I took with John. Is this belief based on facts or feeling? John realized that his beliefs about being too old was based on stereotypical society and personal feelings rather than actual age-related limitations. Now, I asked John to look at, and we went in and we looked at the evidence to support and the evidence to back this. So what evidence did he find to support this belief? John examined examples of successful individuals who pursued higher education later in life and found that age was actually not a barrier to academic success. And if you look at those who perhaps have taken higher education courses later on in life, you will find that they feel that they are benefiting more because they're at a mature stage to learn rather than when they were a bit young. And this was quite true. So there was no evidence to back what John's perception was. Now, we went on to the next action, which is what would happen if John had tried and failed. Now, John assessed that failure was unlikely if he carefully managed his time and resources. He also recognized that the potential benefits of achieving a higher degree, outweighed the risks. So this is how you break it down. So obviously there is more power to doing it, because if John found out that the potential benefits outweighed the risk, because once you get that qualification, it's yours. Once you get that knowledge, it's yours to do whatever you want to do. And what was the outcome? John enrolled in a part-time master's program and successfully balanced his studies with work and family life, leading to career advancement and increased job satisfaction. And truth be told, John has actually now started a side hustle, which he finds that is actually giving him a substantial income and helping him lead a more balanced work-life career. So my point is, when you're working on this, you have to look at the action you want to take. And you have to ask yourself these critical questions. Is this what you're thinking based on facts or feelings? What evidence do you have to support this belief? And what would happen if you tried and failed? Now, I would also emphasize in making sure that you're self-criticizing yourself. Look at your strengths. In this case, John's questioning process helped him overcome age-related stereotypes and practical concerns, leading him to take action despite initial doubts. His strategic approach to balancing responsibilities was also highly commendable. And areas for improvements: John might have initially underestimated the challenges of balancing study with work and family life. More detailed planning and perhaps seeking advice from others like myself who manage similar situations could have further eased the process, which, as he found, he did. Now, what I would like to add is, and this is quite important, it's actually vital in many ways, no change ever occurs without actions. Remember this. No change ever occurs without actions. I've already given you examples in my previous episodes. If you have that fear, think about, you're either going to be in that fear for the next 5 years, having done nothing, or 5 years later, you might find out that you've had many opportunities, many new ways, and many skills you've learned because you took that risk. So, what steps would you take today to break free from your self-limiting beliefs? And this is a moment where, by all means, get that journal, write it down. So, if this was you and you wrote some goals at the beginning of the year, and these goals have not moved forward, this is the time where you need to write down the steps you're going to take to break free from those self-limiting beliefs. And without going further, this is the time to set clear goals. Break down your dreams into manageable steps. So what can you do this week and this month to get closer to your goals? Write them down and commit to them. Even better, what can you do after you've listened to this episode? What can you do from Monday or even from tomorrow morning? Remember, every morning you wake up, you have a blank piece of paper. And you've got to decide by the end of the day what's going to be on that blank piece of paper. Another way, I would definitely encourage you, if you're still struggling, you need to seek support. You don't have to do this alone. Seek support from your friends, family, or even through coaching. If it's not me, find a coach you think you can relate to, or a mentor who can encourage you and guide you along the way. They are the people who can help you be accountable. Don't just sit there and wait for the end of the year and think, oh my word, all the goals that I'd written, it's now coming to 2025 and I'm still here. No. If you have to, go back and listen to that episode again and think what you need to do. Now, the next bit is about practical steps and real life examples. So let's look at some practical steps and real life examples that can help you along the way. And the first one I'll say, and this is very critical, everybody knows that mind over matter is important. Very important. I've already spoken about affirmations. I've already spoken about taking charge of your day. Now, identify and challenge negative thoughts. I've given you some examples how I do this, particularly when it comes to maintaining my health and well-being. When the alarm clock goes, sometimes I have to have a script, so I have to jump out of bed. Otherwise, there's a mind that tells me, oh, just let's 5 more minutes. And then after 5 minutes, oh, we don't have to go today. Right? Oh, no. Get the script to counter that. And remind that voice that no. In fact, give it a name. Call it Craig if you want to. Lazy Craig, not today. Tell Craig, lazy Craig, today we're not being lazy. And tell you, and remind Craig, you have to take a back seat today. Because Sandra, as an example, Sandra is very proactive. Sandra is in charge. Sandra is saying we're going to the gym. Name it if you want to. So the first step to overcoming self-limiting beliefs is to identify them. Once you've identified them, challenge them. As I've given you that example of lazy Craig and active Sandra, and please forgive me if your name is Craig. I don't want you sending me emails or writing to me saying I'm not lazy. Craig, you're not lazy, you're super active, but I'm using the example. I'm using your name as an example. So, active Sandra, super active Sandra is taking charge and telling us we're going. So, back to my point about identifying them, name them, give it a name. Give your negative thoughts a name. Now, once you identify them, challenge them. Ask yourself, is there any objective evidence supporting these beliefs? Now, in most cases, self-limiting beliefs are based on assumptions. Most of us, I think, from what I found, past experiences rather than facts. And this, I can tell you from me, I've seen it in my life in many ways. I've given you the many examples. And a lot of the time, past experiences, these are learned behaviors. This is behavior that we've picked up from how we've been brought up. And this is not to say there's anything wrong with how we've been brought up. It's just sometimes we carry a behavior that perhaps is really limiting us in many ways. And it's almost imposing on us challenges that are stopping us from being our greater self. So once you've identified them, and once you've identified how you're going to challenge them, the next step is to practice positive affirmations. Now replace negative self-talk with positive affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements that can help you reprogram your mindset. For example, instead of saying, I can't do this, say, I am capable and can learn to do this. For the believers, my favorite, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. Plaster that somewhere. I used to have that plastered there. Every day I'd wake up, I'd remind myself, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Because I had many oppositions coming to tell me I'm not good enough, I haven't got it, why am I going for these promotions? I've already given you some of my examples in my previous episodes. I've already told you I'd had somebody tell me I'm a little bit I'm too aspirational. Why do I want to aspire to this level? No, those are the negative people and the negative thoughts. And I had to tell them, not today. Not today, my sister. Not today, my brother. Watch me go. And look at me now with my podcast. Look at me now with my YouTube subscribers. So this could be you next year. It's only taken me 6 months to get to this stage, to have the confidence to tell you this could be you. And this can come in by positive affirmations. Once I identified how to challenge my negative thoughts, I had the positive affirmations. If you are a believer, I did do a positive biblical positive affirmations to build your confidence. Go and tune into that episode. I find it for the believers. It's a very, very powerful, because this is divine. The divine, your creator, is telling you, I have created you in my own image. Therefore, what's stopping you is not me. Because I remember, and I love this, because I know God always does his part, but he'll never do your part. You've got to do your part. And your part comes in by taking action. Your part comes in by challenging those negative thoughts and reminding them, I've been created by God's image, which means I can do, because it's written. The Bible is a book of instructions. It's written, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And it's written as well, we have not been given a spirit of fear. We've been given, number 1, a spirit of power. Number 2, love. Number 3, a sound mind. So what's stopping you? You've got to challenge it. You've got to counter it and say, not today. Now, the next bit is to set achievable goals. Break down your larger goals into smaller ones, more manageable steps. Recognize your progress will reinforce your beliefs in your abilities and motivate you to keep moving forward. I've already given you the examples of when I started this podcast. There was days where I felt like, what's the point? But I persevered. I persevered because the voice came back. It was the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit telling me, wake up, do another recording. Who says you don't sound? You sound as I've created you. Why do you want to sound like somebody else? This is you. There's nobody like you. The same way there's nobody like Olivia Bassi, there's nobody like you as a listener. So set those goals, break them down, and start small and keep going. Now, this goes without saying, seeking support and feedback. Find a mentor or coach or somebody who's supportive, who can provide guidance and support. These are people who offer a different perspective. They help you identify your strengths and encourage you to push beyond your perceived limits. This is quite key, because these are the people who hold you accountable. And a lot of the times, if you're coming to we're in the 7th July, we're almost done with the year, and you haven't even moved forward with one goal, you need a support. You need a mentor, you need a coach who's going to help you, somebody who's going to hold you accountable. So I want to come to another story, and this was Jackie's story. Jackie is somebody who I know, and I want to share this story about Jackie because Jackie came from another coach who I know. And Jackie had struggled with self-limiting beliefs for as long as she could remember. Even at school, She was the type who would shy away from putting herself forward for extracurricular activities because she didn't think she could. And the reason why I started working with Jackie because I could relate to Jackie so much. Many people who know me from the time I was a child, I've always been an introverted. I've always been an introvert, should I say. And I always used to shy away from many activities. And obviously, the more as I related so much to Jackie because when Jackie got to college and university, she got better, and she felt when she went back to square one when she entered the workplace. And that can happen for many reasons. As I've already told you, you will find people who are opposing you for various, or people who are just insecure, and that insecurity can come and rub off on you. So you've got to be careful. And part of this podcast is really to help people in those positions. And that's why I could relate to Jackie, because you go to college, you go to university, and you feel very empowered because you are an introvert, and then you get to a certain stage and you find that, oh my God, I can do this. This is, wow, I didn't think I was this good. So back to Jackie's story. So Jackie wanted to feel more confident like her colleagues. And I remember asking her, why does she think her colleagues are more confident? So she was listing some qualities. So anyway, Jackie didn't know where to start. So she went online and she found a coach, and the coach referred her to me. And part of what Jackie did as well, I remember talking to her, and I'm not going to obviously go too much into what I'm doing with Jackie, but Jackie told me she came across many articles, and one article caught her eye, and the article suggested to her watching out for excuses and blame. And the reason why I'm mentioning this story is because a lot of the times we have a lot of excuses and blame. So when she told me about she felt more confident, she wanted to be more confident like her colleagues. So I was wondering what qualities she's talking about, and she listed them. And then when she told me about having read that article and realizing that sometimes you have more excuses and blame rather than actually looking yourself, I thought this is very interesting. Now, what she said in that article, she found out that it's easy to point fingers when things don't go our way. And a lot of the times, the reason why I'm sharing this story is this is so true, because when you blame external factors, this is what you do when you blame other things beyond your control. You sort of relinquish control, and then you render yourself powerless in adversity. And this is so true in many ways. I remember so many times thinking, oh, well, I haven't got that promotion, and it's because of somebody to my workplace, or the manager doesn't like me. No, I realize that I'm giving away my power. So if this is you, if you're blaming external factors, because I've already told you from experience, you can never change people. The only person you can change is you. So if this is you, it's stuck in that workplace. If this is you stuck thinking, I can't do this because there's some self-limiting beliefs, please stop looking at the external factors and look internal and start thinking, is this something that is this me? Because I've already told you, it's very easy to point fingers when things don't go your way. So look at yourself and think, how can I change this myself? So the point of Jackie's story, as I said, I didn't want to share too much about Jackie because I'm still working with her, is adopt an internal locus of control. Now, this means that believing when you have the power to influence events and their outcomes. So when you're faced with setbacks, instead of placing blame, ask yourself, what could I have done differently? Now, this proactive mindset boosts self-accountability and fosters resilience. If you're still struggling, go and listen to my episode where I talked about resilience in the face of adversity. There are many resources there that are shared. Resilience is about recognizing that you have no control on things that happen beyond external factors, but you have control of yourself. Remember that. You have control of yourself. Now, I wanted to add that last bit about adopting an internal locus of control, because I think a lot of the times when we are faced with setbacks or failure, a lot of us, and I did it many times, I shied away from looking at myself and really evaluating, who am I? And what do I want from this life? And how do I want to come out from this life? If I was told that I have 10 days left, how do I want to really make sure that I feel I've lived my best version of me? I've written the best version of me that God truly intended me to live in this earth. So that's why I had to step out and go and look at myself and really re-examine my values, really re-examine myself and what I want from this life. And that's why I'm here. So I'm giving you the same approach, and I'm asking you to really go and stop and think what you really genuinely want from this life and what you want from the goals that you really think you're setting. Because as we know, sometimes, as many times as I've used Les Brown's quote, many of us are born great, but we die carbon copies because we've refused, or we are afraid to take that risk. We are afraid because we've let these self-limiting beliefs come and take over. So before, you may be tempted to tell yourself you're not good enough, or that you'll never be good enough. But in the end, remember, these beliefs prevent you from empowering yourself, from being the best version of who you are meant to be. So with that said, I want to end by saying, self-limiting beliefs are like chains that bind us. So think about that chain that's gonna, think about it as this python that's binding you and is keeping you from reaching your true potential. Spiritually speaking, actually, it is almost like a python that's coming to suck the light out of you. And if you're not careful, it's going to take you out before you free yourself and go and put your best to this world. But I can tell you, these chains can be broken. They can be broken by, number one, identifying, challenging, identifying them. Name it. I've already given you names of how I identify it. I've already given you name of how I challenge it. I tell Sandra Sandra is in control today. Sandra is getting us to the gym. Sandra is going to write this project for us. Sandra is going to get us from A to Z. I know, because Sandra is my power woman. I tell Sandra tells Craig, take a back seat. You aren't in charge today. I'm in charge. So, number one, identify, challenge it, and then take action against these beliefs. Remember, take action. Now you can redefine who you are and what you want to achieve. As Les Brown puts it, you are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. The power to change your narrative is in your hands. So I ask you once again, are you holding yourself back? Are you ready to break free from the constraints of self-limiting beliefs? The path to success and fulfillment is waiting for you, and the only thing standing in your way is you. This life is about fighting for you, and the power is in you. So start today and become the person start today and become the great person you are meant to be. The power is in your hand. And how will you use it? It's up to you. And with that, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this has really encouraged you, and thank you for those who sent me those questions. And thank you for those who keep coming back to me, asking me relevant questions and giving me even more motivation to go back and really share some of the stories and some of my experiences. And I really hope you found this episode enlightening and empowering. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe. Please remember to leave a review if you can, or please keep writing to me. I love those emails, even without names. Even the ones who send me crazy things, keep sending them. It's a delight to hear from you. And by all means, feel free to share this podcast and this episode with anybody who might benefit from them. Until next time, keep pushing your boundaries and reaching for the stars. My name is Olivia Bassi, and this is Empowerment Junction. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.